kingdoms collapse. Now anarchy reigns. You want it, you got it. Now anarchy reigns.
Like everybody, like if you don't already know, this is Billy William White.
Hey, it's Billy.
Oh, hey, what's up, guys? I was
That's
in the waiting
guy.
room sleeping. I was
Well,
kidding.
well. So, I'm just gonna. I appreciate you taking this time to chat with us today, Billy. I I have some. I have several stories that I would like to tell that you probably won't remember, but I will say the first time that I remember seeing you and your band you're in called Shun was at the warehouse in Clarksville,
Oh, yeah.
Tennessee.
Yeah, love
I
the work.
believe I believe it was Shun, Submethod, Lowboy, and probably Flood. And I had no idea who any of those bands were at the time. And come to find out, I ended up friending the guys in Flood and ended up joining their band when they switched their name over to Taken Under. And me and Mark Slaughter, the singer, have been friends for probably 30 years now almost. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So Billy, man, tell me about yourself. So what got you into music?
My friends. I mean, everybody in Shun, we went to junior high together, and we just walked the streets and raised hell. And I
Praise
remember,
Dale.
yeah. David Crutcher and Richie Glover started playing in a band called Sinister Dream, and Chris Hawkins and I were best friends, and we would just go to every show that they did. We love those guys. We went to school with them, so it was like we were there to support them. And I don't think we would have started playing music had it not been for those guys. I mean, obviously there was a lot of people around us that played instruments and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, we were all into a lot of the same music together, and I bought a guitar and Chris bought a guitar, and we were determined to be in a band with those guys. And we ended up, the first iteration of Shun was David, Richie, myself, and a guy named Jason Smith. And they were originally a part of Sinister Dream. And I think they all disbanded from the main guy. I can't remember his name, David something, but and they were like, "Do you guys want to play?" I had sang in a barn with Richie and with David. We did Nirvana covers and stuff like that back in the day, and Stone Temple Pilot type songs or whatever. And so I was really embarrassed. So they all moshed outside the barn while me and whoever was playing the instruments would be in there. And when we first started, we started in Jason Smith's bedroom.
What year was this?
97, 96,
Okay.
97. I mean, 96, we were all playing together. I was horrible at guitar, but they were like, yeah, just try to sing. And I tried my best to sound like Scott Weiland and Lane Staley. That was pretty much like my biggest influences at the time. So I was like, how. It was, it was very twangy. Excuse me. But yeah, I remember we jammed in a little bedroom, and we had written a handful of songs, and we were called Creep back in those days. And everything was like an alien logo. All of our logos were like alien heads and stuff. So, but I sang in a closet, and I was too embarrassed for people to see me getting into it and singing. And eventually,
so similar to like Jim Morrison, huh?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Because Jim Morrison would look at the drummer and wouldn't look at the crowd when he would sing. He was nervous.
Yeah. So, and these were just my bandmates. And I grew up with them, but it was I just didn't want to see people looking at me laughing or whatever, plus I'm like, getting into skater kid with long hair, looks stupid. But eventually we got Chris into the band, and once Chris started jamming with us, that pretty much we changed the name to Shun, and something happened with the drummer Jason, and we kind of went looking for a new drummer, and we went to Rivergate Mall. We went to Gadzooks, and we found Richie Kohler.
Whoa.
And
Gadzooks.
yeah, he was a
Blast
very
from the
confident
past.
guy, and he knew his stuff. And we were like, "Oh,
Yeah.
he loves the same music we do." You know, he was naming off a bunch of bands that he liked and stuff, and he was drumming on his chest, and had a good vibe and everything. And so we got a storage building in Nashville and started jamming with him. We did a few shows at the Cannery, Lucy's Record Shop, and we first met 12 Volt at a place called the Bummed Out Roxy. I believe that's what it was. It was a little tiny room. And I think that was one of our first shows in Nashville. We met them. We knew Nathan from the mall. Like, we met him a couple times at the mall. And so we started playing with Community Spoon, and eventually met Lowboy at the Cannery. So we were all like fast friends. Like, all of us hung out all the time. Community Spoon, Nathan and Tyler and Dill and Bart. And so, all of those people, we would drive to where did you guys live? Was it Clarksville?
Yeah, Clarksville.
We would drive and just hang out with Lowboy, and we love all those guys. And so we just kind of started the scene that way. And that's how we got into it. And we were just like, we love these guys, and they were super fun to play with. So we started playing more and more with them. We played a Battle of the Bands thing at Lucy.
I was told that did you guys play Battle of the Bands with Lowboy at the Cannery?
We did. We actually played with all of those bands, I believe, and then we finally got on the main stage, and that was a huge deal for us because the Cannery, you played this small stage to kind of get your chops in, and we started playing so much that it was like, I think some of us were underage at the time when we started playing, so we didn't really he would let us play, but we had to stay in certain spots because he wouldn't let us. We weren't 18 yet, some of us. So
Yeah, we all know that.
So
there was
Being too young to even be at the places we're playing at.
we got on the main stage with Hollis Chapel, and there's actually a YouTube video of that show. It was a pretty rocking show. We had giant Jinko pants and stuff like that.
Did you buy those at Gadzooks?
I did. I probably bought it from Richie Kohler. But yeah, and after a while, we got the Lucy's Record Shop. We played a Battle of the Bands, and we won a CD recording, and we did that Promising CD over a weekend. So nice. we went in, we camped out on Friday night. We did drums one day. Everybody did guitars and stuff on Saturday, and I think by Sunday I was doing vocals. So
now the Promising is a lot different than the album that I know of, the Michael and Rains. That Promising, what kind of style was that album?
Are you talking about Promising or Michael and Rain?
Promising.
We were straight up. We wanted to be Limp Bizkit, Deftones. We wanted to be new metal. I mean, that's pretty much that's the things we were listening to. And we were just like, hey, let's write riffs like that. And, it was like, I tried my best to sound like Chino or whatever it was, just be silly. I still had that Lane Staley drawl in my voice, that Southern whatever twang. But yeah.
Is that album out there anywhere?
Yeah, it's on Spotify. I mean, it's all in all the streaming services. You can get it on YouTube and Apple Music and all that stuff. Spotify.
I'll have to check that out. So, the next, your next album would be the Michael and Rains, correct?
Yeah. So at that time we had only had. So we did do a demo. We did that when Nathan Ailes' daddy recorded us in Nathan Ailes' house in the basement. So we did
Spoon House.
Yeah, I think it was a 7-song demo. It was a tape.
Mm-hmm.
It's highly sought after, apparently, from fans from like 20 years. Like, I get a lot of younger people reaching out and going, I really want that, because it's floating out there. People have it. They just want me to release it, and I'm like, I don't have a good copy of it. So,
well, Ben's cousin found a copy of the Community Spoon cassette tape at a thrift store for $25.
Wow, that's pretty good.
And he bought it.
They're the reason why we wanted to do that. We heard their demo, and it just sounded so raw. It was so good. And I mean, Community Spoon was an amazing band. Like, everybody in that band was amazing. I mean, Submethod as well, but we really looked up to those guys, and just we loved hanging out with them. I mean, the first time I met Tyler, he was just like, I was like, I love this guy. He's so funny and just wide open, you know. I think he grabbed my crotch or something, you know. I was
Oh,
like,
completely
okay,
unfiltered. Yeah.
yeah. But after
Yeah.
promising, we did. We kind of disbanded for a little while. I'll leave that a mystery, but I mean, it was pretty much, things happened and we split up for a little bit, and we decided we were going to get a new drummer if we got back together. And basically, we tried out a few drummers. I think I know we tried out a lot of different people. Some were in the band for about a month or two, and then it just didn't work out. I don't know if you know who Ronnie McDowell is, but his son, Ronnie McDowell Jr., he tried out with us. He was a great drummer, but, I think he had a lot going on or something. But
Yeah.
we ended up, there was a band in Nashville called Fuse, and they were new metal. They played with 7 strings. They kind of similar to Korn, but I mean, they were a good band. I really enjoyed them. And we hung out with those guys a lot in their storage building and watched them practice. And we met a guy named Jack, and he was a young kid at the time. I think he was 16 when we met him. But years later, we put up an ad in all the music stores like Sam Ash and stuff like that downtown. And I recognized his voice because it was kind of deep. And the moment I picked up my phone, I was like, yeah, I know exactly. He goes, my name's Jack. I'm friends with Fuse. And I go, yeah, I know exactly who you are. I heard him play drums. I was like, yeah, he's good. And we auditioned Jack so we were like, he heard the promising stuff, and he was like, he's told me on occasion, he's like, yeah, it sounded really good, and I was really into it. And he goes, and then I auditioned. So I didn't get to audition him. I was doing something else, but everybody else went to audition him, and I trusted their judgment. So when they auditioned him, he played, I'm not sure which Slipknot album was out, but he played it all the way through for them to the CD. And they were like, oh yeah, he's a badass. So, that was a great, we were like, we wanted somebody that could do that. And they were like, once we got to practice, we were writing things completely different. We decided we were going to be a little bit more, I don't really know what it was at the time, as far as that goes, but we wanted to be more emotional, more melodic, less new metal. We wanted to kind of define ourselves a little bit. By that time we were all into different things. Yeah. I know once I discovered, like, I had only been into like metal and like grunge rock at that time. And once I discovered bands like, a lot of female singers and then Radiohead, my whole world changed. And we were like, yeah, let's do more trippy stuff. And we started discovering all kinds of different bands like Massive Attack and stuff like that, and Failure. And we just decided we wanted to change our trend, so that it kind of threw Jack off. He was like, I just said Jack off. It kind of threw him off because he was like, you guys auditioned me with Slipknot, but he enjoyed it. He was along for the ride, and he's very creative. And so that happened, and we started just writing a bunch of songs and playing a bunch of shows. We started doing a bunch of traveling, and we started putting things up online, and that was when we kind of like got an online presence a little bit. And then we released Michael and Rain. It was a very short run. I think we only did like 1,500 of those CDs. And people started hearing it online, because that's when the Pimp Rock Palace was a big deal, the PRP.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And it was like the site that all musicians went to. I mean, it's still got a great cult following.
Yeah.
But we had met Pedro. He at the time, he had kind of been one of the people that started the site with Wukubus, I believe. I could be wrong on the history on that, but Pedro really liked the song Piece by Piece, and he discovered it on mp3.com, and he reached out to us, and they did a whole bit. And after that, it kind of just, there was a lot more interest. We had bands that were from out of town wanting to come to Nashville, and then wanting to bring us to their towns and stuff like that. So that's when we really started getting out of town and playing stuff.
Was MySpace around at that time yet?
Not yet.
Yeah.
It was pretty much mp3.com, and then bulletin boards was pretty much like AOL.
Right.
I mean, it was still in the dial-up days for sure.
What was what was a bulletin board that was out of Paducah, Kentucky? Oh man, it was a metal site and man, I can't think of it was a big one for all the local bands here in town.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember the logo was green. It was a green logo.
Was it Pollute Me?
PolluteMe.com.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
that.
Yeah, that was a cool that guy did a lot of stuff up here in this area. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
that's
He lived at the Lowboy house.
over off of where was that
Yeah,
house
the
at?
A-frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was
off,
his name?
Yeah,
He had a beard. What was his name?
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
We all know
I feel
we
bad.
all know the person. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we all know the guy.
He's a
But
great guy. He moved to Kentucky.
yeah.
He moved to Kentucky and grew his
Yeah,
okay, so I
Yeah.
was friends with
yeah.
him
He
on
does
Facebook.
all the backwoods metal fests. He hosts all
Yeah.
those up in Cadiz.
Jacob.
Jacob
Yeah,
Robeson?
Once you said backwoods,
that's
I was
it.
like,
Yeah.
Jacob. Yeah.
Yeah, Jacob.
Yeah. Did you now did you guys ever play the Backwoods Metal Fest, Billy?
You know, we did play. We possibly did. I mean, I know we played shows. I know Jacob did do shows with us and stuff. He just had a great personality. We were like, oh yeah. Of course. But yeah, I mean, we played a lot of different places. I think we did play the Backwoods at one point in time. I believe we played it with a braid on your shirt there.
Yeah.
And
Throw it back.
if I'm not mistaken, that's where that was. But
I
I
found my
do
button
remember
that you did.
it was like a rave. There was some type of rave we played with a braid and a couple other bands from Nashville.
A rave?
It was an outdoor festival, like King for a Day type thing.
Okay.
But it had metal bands on one stage, and they had dance music on another stage, and then
Whoa.
like something else on another stage.
Awesome.
And
That
so there
sounds
was a
fun.
guy riding around on a golf cart. I'm not sure if it was
Never.
Jake Joe though, but it turns out the guy said, "I can't pay you guys." And so I remember it was somebody. It might have been somebody from Shun. He said, "You got a bunch of pissed off rednecks here. you might want to pay us." And so we got paid. So, I mean, we really just played for gas money. I don't think we ever made money to do anything
No.
other than just buy more shirts and CDs. Really.
Yeah, that was a thing back then. You know, you would just, oh yeah, we'll play a show, and then whatever you got, you got. You know, it's not like there was no guarantees back in those days. You know, it's like,
No.
hey, we made $50 at the door. We're gonna split it between 4 bands. Cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Most of the time, we would at least get like a $200 guarantee, and that would fill up our tank. So.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I mean, you know, filling the van up with stuff and just traveling was, you know, it was great.
That's yeah. So, Shun had a good run, you know, and but you guys, that the second reincarnation of Shun wasn't really around that long, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it was probably around about 2 or 3 years after that.
Feels like so much longer, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, a lot was
when you're doing it.
Yeah, a lot was
You
packed
know.
into that. You know, there's definitely been since then. I think we finally ended it in 2003, maybe the early 2002, 2003, and I mean, obviously, it's been what 22 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
22 years since then.
Yeah, I was corrected on that. So,
Yeah.
but so, let's not get to the 22 part yet. So before Shun, Billy, were you into like, what kind of music were you into like in your younger days?
I liked a lot of, I mean, really everything. I mean, my earliest influence was probably Michael Jackson. Like,
yeah,
I had a Michael Jackson Thriller album and I listened to it all day long.
hell yeah.
So, I mean, I was a child then. I mean, my brothers listened to like Poison and Bon Jovi and hair metal, like Guns N' Roses and stuff. I remember being in 6th or 7th grade and I discovered Nirvana. And it changed my world. And I remember when by the time we were in high school, he had died, and we all were mourning him and stuff like that, and really upset about it. You know, so we were definitely into the grunge scene. Pearl Jam, I love Stone Temple Pilots, Soundgarden, amazing band. You know, stuff like that, that whole scene. I basically wanted to be like that type of deep growly singer, and you know. And that's kind of, you know, Richie and I had wrote songs together in his, you know, he had a little Winnebago home or whatever in his backyard, and we would go out there and play music in it. And he wrote most everything. I just tried to sing it, you know. and you know, it was kind of embarrassing. But like I said, I would like hide from people. I'd be in the other side of the room when I'm like, turn around, you can't look at me, you know.
Well, what broke you from that?
Honestly, Richie and David, they listen to a lot of metal. They listen to a lot of, obviously your basic metal stuff, you know, the Metallica, Megadeth, and then they started getting into like Sepultura, and then Korn came, and I think Korn was the thing that the very first Korn album was the thing that kind of united us all. We were like, okay, I think we all like this. So like, you could kind of like pick and choose. They picked and choose which grunge band they liked, and we picked which metal band we liked. And when it married on Korn and like Deftones, and then we discovered Limp Bizkit, it was kind of like we were young, we were just, you know, full of testosterone, and we just loved it. We would just cruise around listening to that, and then, you know, it just went from there.
Well, what broke you from your stage fright, I guess you'd say, from not wanting people to look at you?
So we did a show. This is when we were still Creep. I guess we did a show at like a VFW hall. We did like, I think we only played like 3 or 4 songs. I think we were only allowed to play 3 or 4 songs. And I wore a hat tucked down in my face. I wore like an STP like mechanic shirt, like it was a literal from STP shop, not Stone Temple Pilots, but like,
yeah,
and some big old baggy Jinkos. And I did the whole show like this with the, you know, my face, with the hat down on my face so you couldn't see anything, and I didn't even move my arms. I just did this the whole time. And I think that's what it was. Like after that, we did a school talent show against Lenny Murphy of all people. She actually won the contest. So, but it was
Awesome.
funny. It was funny doing that because we met Lenny Murphy then, and then ended up years later we're opening for her on her little tours and stuff. So it's kind of cool.
Wow.
But yeah.
So fast forward to now, what got the urge to bring the band back together?
Well, I mean, the thing is we've tried this several times. We just all have such busy lives.
Yeah.
I think in 2013 we tried, 2010 we tried, 2016, and then 2018 or something like that. Like it was always a talk. 2018 we were like, yeah, let's do this. We had people that were reaching out to us wanting to record us and stuff like that, and we're gonna get in the studio. And honestly, we just had so much going on in our personal lives, and I think I was the most pushy, I would say. I was pushing everybody to kind of like, let's get in this, and you know, I think it just kind of, there was a lot of pressure involved, and they were just kind of like, well, I don't really have time to. Everybody's driving, you know, 45 minutes to practice.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're exhausted from work. You know, they've got everyday lives, children, families, and stuff like that. And, you know, a couple of them backed away. And so we were trying to push forward. I think it was just me, Jack, and David for a little while, just trying to map out the songs or whatever, like what we remembered. Because we had 13 songs when we broke up, like a whole catalog of songs that we were planning on recording. There are live recordings of them and stuff, but we were like, this would be a good opportunity to at least record those songs, and if anything, move on, you know. And we did it in 2018, and then you know, one of the members had a family member that got sick, and then it just kind of fell off. I started doing other projects, and I know me and Ben here, we did a couple projects together.
Yeah,
I even jumped in on that 2013 Shun.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there
for a couple weeks, maybe.
It was kind of a Shun reunion. Like we were definitely playing different stuff. We weren't playing Shun stuff. We were trying to write stuff.
Is any of the stuff that you guys are doing now some of that stuff that was never released or recorded? It's
pretty much that whole catalog. Yeah.
Okay.
Now we've got a few bones of that stuff right now, but it's once again kind of like at a point where we get about 2 to 3 hours, 4 hours on a Sunday where we can do it, and it's not every Sunday that we can do it. You know, somebody reached out to me over the years. People have reached out to me wanting to know if there were physical copies of Michael and Rain and Promising. And as far as I know, I have only one copy of Promising, and it's in plastic, and I'm not getting rid of it because it's a memento. It's in my memory box, you know. But I don't have anything of Michael and Rain or the 3-song demos that we released in 2002 that we did for a record label.
I think I
Yeah,
still
so-
have all those in my big giant CD Logic or the
Yeah.
Case Logic thing that was.
I have a
sitting
CD
shotgun.
still.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was told that you said a label. I was told there was a label that you guys were talking with and possibly could have been signed to,
Yeah.
but they signed Thursday instead. Is that a true story?
I'm not sure about Thursday. I know that there were other bands that were
Uh-huh.
in contention for some stuff that we got sent out to California. We played the Whiskey a Go-Go a couple times. We did do some touring in California, and we played for Interscope. We played for Maverick.
Maverick,
For
yeah.
Sony, which was, it was pretty much Maverick. Columbia, I think, Arista. And we didn't really, honestly, they liked our stuff. They just did not like our image. I guess it was mostly me. I had round Harry Potter glasses and I'm some stubby little fat kid, So, there was a lot of issues with the image. That was kind of the thing they couldn't sell. So people had me dye my hair, my goatee black, and wearing armbands and stuff like that, and dressing in all black. And I was like, okay, well, let's do this. But, that kind of, a lot of the pressure from family life and stuff like that, that's kind of what broke us, really. We had a lot of stuff happening at home, and we were being sent out. We had manager after manager that was trying to do this. Few things here and there, were fights over money with the management team, and just things like not getting us merchandise, not representing us the best way possible, using clout to get to use to help other bands and stuff like that, which was aggravating to some of us. It caused some infighting and stuff, and nothing. We're all brothers and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
but
Well, when you guys were playing those showcases out in California, was Lowboy out there at the time?
I don't really know. I know they had went to California. I think that was around the time they moved out there, but we didn't cross paths with them out there.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, if you guys played any shows while you guys were out there together at all.
I don't think so. I know there was a lot of stuff going on. I know when we got to California, my voice went out.
Oh, hell.
And it was because we were doing so many shows back to back. And I probably smoked a little too much on one of the stops. And we were supposed to play with like Dredge and a couple other bands. And
Wow.
we didn't get to do that because my voice was out. And that kind of upset some people, but it was, it upset me too. But, that would have been a good opportunity. And, it is what it is.
I will tell you this, just to see if this makes you feel good. I was looking on Discogs while we were talking, and I looked up the Michaels and Rain CD.
Okay.
And it sold in 2019, January 15th, 2019. It sold. You ready for this price? $50.
Whoa.
Somebody
Nice.
sold it. Somebody sold. Oh, that was you that sold it, Ben? Did
No.
you sell your copy?
I can go get it. I can show you.
I did have somebody offer
I don't
me
get rid of
$300
anything.
for my sealed promising, but I was like, no, I'm not.
How much?
$300.
Wow.
But yeah, and I was like, well, it's sealed. I'm not doing that. But it was as a
Yeah.
kid, so that's what leads me to here.
Yeah.
Well, they had a kid reach out to me, and a lot of people over the years have asked if I've had stuff like physical copies.
Uh-huh.
And I just didn't have anything, and so I just hand everybody a Dropbox link. I've got a whole Dropbox link full of Shun stuff, and digital versions of everything, and every band I've ever been in. So I just here it is, whatever.
Yeah.
And I had a guy reach out to me. I think he was 16 years old. He was a good kid, well intentions. And at the time, I had a 16-year-old, and he was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know I uploaded all your music. I'm going to give you the account so you can keep the money or whatever, but I just wanted you to know that I uploaded it because I think people need to hear it, because people are always asking me when we're going to upload it, and I just didn't have the permission. I'm one of 5.
Yeah.
So I reached out to everybody. I think it was June of last year, maybe May. And I told the kid, I was like, all right, take it down. I'll reach out to the guys and see if they're okay with it. So I said, I don't want anything to kind of come back on you, because it's illegal to do that,
Yeah.
And I said, and it was a parental thing. You know, I was like, I would hate for my child to get caught up in some type of legal drama with some people he didn't know. And he had good intentions, but you know, it's just, I was like, I'll upload it, but I'll reach out to everybody. And I hadn't spoke to everybody since 2016. And I reached out to everyone. And of course, everybody was like, of course, yeah, do it. And then it started kind of people, I created an Instagram page just so people could know if we had anything coming up or anything like that, just to let people know. And I did a Twitter page.
In between all that, you were talking, you had some projects you did, and some of those projects you did obviously with Ben. Let's talk about some of those projects.
Well, after Shun, I started a band with Kenny Como, and he was in a band called Down Theory.
Oh yeah.
And they played a lot of shows with Shun, I think, back in the day, and they were right next to our band room. And I met Kenny Como through Richie Kohler. They were best friends, and we all moved in together when we were in Shun together. And Richie ended up getting engaged and moved out, so it was just me and Kenny. So I've been really good friends with Kenny for like 24 years now. Like he's like my ride or die buddy, and he's always there for me, always. And he was like, let's start something. So in 2003, I started college going for graphic design. That's where I met Beverly, Ben's wife, and we became good friends there. And we just all kind of, you know, Kenny and I started it on a laptop. We started messing with Fruity Loops and started making songs and stuff. And we met a few people that we had been friends with and put ads out on and by that time MySpace was out.
Yeah.
And we started recruiting people, and you know, people did know me from a few people did know me from Shun, so that helped with the recruiting. But I didn't want it to be heavy like Shun. I wanted it to be more melodic, kind of clean and clangy. You know, we did get heavy and stuff like that, but I wanted it to be more organic, I guess you could say. Shun was very effects laden, noisy, chaotic, big drumming and stuff like that, and I wanted something that was more just more laid back and more simple. And we did that in about 2 years. We did that in a basement. We literally bought the PC and we did it all on Cubase. And we did it all by reading a manual. Reading a manual on how to record in the studio. And we all lived in a big duplex. And so we basically we turned the entire place into a studio. One room was padded for vocals. Another room we drilled holes in the walls down in the floor to get the guitars separated. And, you know, we just gutted that place. I would have hated to have been the landlord because we destroyed that place with big holes in the wall, just running cable through everything. And we took it really seriously. And I was very happy with that CD. You know, it was a big departure from Shun, but it was all tuned up. Shun was all tuned down to C# and stuff like that. So it was all tuned up. So it was a new experience for me in general, vocally. And I remember at one point when we were in the studio, all my friends got together and bought me some vocal lessons. So that made a huge difference. Like I'd always sang with, you know, my throat. I didn't breathe properly.
Yeah.
And it just took it another level up. I took 2 lessons from the same woman who did Haley from Paramore.
Paramore.
Yeah. Her name was Janet Kenyon, and she was amazing. She also taught a bunch of people from American Idol. Who was the girl? Hudson?
Jennifer Hudson?
Yeah, Jennifer Hudson. She gave her lessons as well. But she gave me lessons and gave me a CD to kind of train to, and that helped tremendously, helped me a lot with my breathing, and started picking up learning piano a little bit more. And so, yeah, we played with Sans Seraph for a while. And then I had a son, and I was like, okay, well, I think it's time to give this up, much to a lot of people's dismay. They did not like that, but you know, it was what it was. I made a decision to kind of be a father and just try to be more committed to that. And, you know, that's where I took a while to get back into music after that. I think it was 2010 before I did anything else.
Well, you were talking about that house. Was that the same house that That did Ryan from Lower Unit live at that house with you?
No, but I say I did live on their couch almost the entire time I was in Shun.
Oh, so wait,
I had
so
no home, but like
Eric and Ryan.
okay,
Yeah.
so then here we go then.
Dale.
This makes it even this much better. So
yeah,
so we used to get drunk at the Flood House.
yeah.
And I would call.
I've been to the Flood House actually.
Okay, well, I would call the Lower Unit house.
Yeah,
Which now that I know that's whose house it was,
yeah.
and I would prank call you guys late at night, and I would be drunk as hell. And I believe you answered the phone one night. I don't remember everything, but I know I just kept calling back and calling back and calling back for like 3 hours straight. And I don't know I don't remember what I was doing. I was just like, but I would do this on a regular basis on Saturday nights. I would get drunk at their house and just call the house just to see who would pick up and do voices and prank call.
Yeah.
Just because I wanted to talk to Ryan, but he would never get on the phone.
Yeah. So everybody in Lower Unit lived there.
Okay.
And they even had more roommates. It was like I think it was a 4-bedroom house with a full basement and everything. And like they had couches everywhere. And I know that's pretty much what I like. Either slept in a Winnebago out in the backyard, or I slept on a couch. I worked at Jersey Mike's and walked down the road, to my job, and then Shun would go back out and tour, and then we would come back and sleep on somebody's couch and work at Jersey Mike's.
Whatever worked, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I could not do that now. Like the way I'm used to life right now is so different. It's just thinking about it now is like there's no way I could just sleep on somebody's couch and just that be it. I had a pile of clothes in the corner and that was it.
I was asked to ask you about Silver.
Born Silver?
It was a project that you did when Shun had broke up for the first time.
I'm guessing you spoke to Eli?
No.
Byron or
Charles?
West?
Charles
Irwin.
Charles Irwin. Silver. Now, Eli from 12-Volt Negative Earth, he and I started a side project.
Okay.
Or it was towards the end.
That I never knew. I never knew that.
And it was a guy named Byron played drums, and we had a girl bass player named Roxy. And it never got off the ground. I think we maybe started like 3 or 4 songs. But that was it. But
what about Spirit Fall?
Okay, Spirit Fall was a band that we toured with from California.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He said ask you about recording and touring with Spirit Fall.
Yeah, so touring with Spirit Fall was great. They booked us. So at the time, the guitar player's dad, his name was Bill Spencer. He's since passed away. R.I.P. Bill. And he found us on the internet, and he thought we would be a good match to tour with them. And we met a lot of bands on that tour. We met Minus. We became friends with a lot of bands that were from California. Downside, which I think they were Strata, they ended up being Strata, I think, or vice versa. Those were great guys. I'm still friends with them. Ryan and Nick on social media.
Yeah, and Minus this is the same as Minus Driver, right?
Yeah, so they changed their name to Minus Driver. Yeah, love those guys. We became fast friends with those guys too. They were such a good band, and we just loved them. But yeah, we went on tour with Spirit Fall, and it was probably the best one we had been on. That was the tour where I lost my voice, but we just had a bunch of good packed dates. We toured all the way from Tennessee all the way around California to the top of the United States and then back. So
hell yeah,
it was awesome, and it was a great trip. I had a camera full of pictures when I got home.
Was it a disposable camera or was it a
It was
digital
my
camera?
first digital camera. It was a Kodak.
Yeah. I bet those pictures look great now, don't they?
Oh no, it was a 1 megapixel. I think it was.
Oh hell yeah. So you said you toured around. What was one of your favorite cities to play?
Honestly,
out of any of the bands you're in.
we played with Drowning Pool in New Orleans, and that was really cool. I remember the first time we played with Drowning Pool, they did the Bodies song, and I kind of scoffed. I was like, that's a silly lyric there. And I said, I don't know if they're going to go anywhere with that. And then, that sound defines a generation. It's literally on everything.
Yeah.
It just goes to tell you how kind of the ego that I had back in the day. I was like, that's silly. But they were great guys. They were super fun to be around. And and that was in New Orleans. New Orleans was great. Every time we went to New Orleans, it was great. St. Louis, I think, was probably one of the best cities we played. We did, I can't remember where it was, somewhere in California. And we played a theater with the Downside at the time. It was, I think they ended up being Strata. And that was probably one of the best shows that we had ever played. It's hard to say, but like, I know there's, when we went to Chicago, that was a great show. We played in a giant theater full of people, and that was really good. Detroit was also, we played there. I think that was the Emerson Theater. We played there.
Wow.
And, but we really loved Memphis, like New Daisy. We would go down there and play.
Absolutely.
Piston Honda and Logic 34.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, dude.
Those were such great
All
days.
those dudes.
It's such a big stage, and there was a lot of local bands that played it, so they would just pack out the New Daisy Theater. And it's, when we first saw Incubus, it was at New Daisy, so it was like a big thing for us.
Back in the early, late 90s, early 2000s, even just Nashville too, there were so many amazing bands in Nashville at that time, between Nashville, Clarksville, Murfreesboro.
Yeah.
The scene was just insane with all, and there was always a show on the weekend somewhere, and you would always find everybody at one of the shows hanging out. There was never a band not at a show hanging out. Between
I think every time we did a show, Jason and Toomey from 12 Up were there, and Cody. They were always there. And it was like Nathan would always show up. Nathan from he was a marketing king, man.
Him and Barry.
Barry,
was too, yeah.
I remember before I even knew before I knew who Barry was, I would see him, no matter if it was at the Starwood, was it Dancing at the District, whatever it was.
He's out flyers.
Yep. And I knew Nathan, but he would do the same thing. They would be together, just passing them out. But, that's how they did it. But nowadays, I will say it doesn't make it makes it lazier, but it makes it so much easier to promote online. I do miss the old days though, getting the hookup at Kinko's or somewhere, somebody with a copy machine, and they'd go print up a bunch of free flyers and then just go and pass them out.
We had a guy, his name was Pat Richardson, and he was a great guy. And we met him through Richie somehow. But like, I remained friends with him for a long time after that. And he would always do Shun's flyers. And he was a mastermind. He worked for Kinko's and he worked the night shift. And we would just get in there and brainstorm ideas, and he would just print out the coolest flyers and stuff because he did it all by hand. Like, he would cut it all out and splice it together. And there wasn't no computer graphics and stuff back then.
Yeah.
There was a minimal, but like, he did the Promising album, and that was just opening up the scanner. That's all that was. And
oh, really?
Yeah. And he was just an amazing artist all the way around. And he just did it for free. He just wanted to do it just to help out. He liked our band. He was always at every show, and he was a great guy.
I look at the cover of the Promising right now, and it looks like it's, to me, because you can interpret it, but it looks like you're looking in from space, and it's like the edge of the world. That's what it looks like, the edge of the earth.
Yeah.
And you're in space looking down. I did see it's on Spotify, and I did save it to my list so I can listen to this later on today. So you're writing, Billy, what's some of your writing? Like what's your topics?
Well, it depends on the band.
Okay, let's go with Shun.
Shun, early stuff was mainly about my childhood. It was a lot of anger towards things that, dealing, how everybody's got the, even if it isn't real trauma, it's perceived trauma, I'm gonna take it on whoever it is,
Yeah.
And, later on, and that kind of morphed into more of an emotional, saddened. It went from angry to more of a saddened, hopeful type thing with Michael and Rain, I would say. Even though it was kind of the same vein, I felt like everything in Promising was very high school related, like just really silly lyrics. Like I listen to it now and it's very cringy. Even my 17-year-old son goes, "Yeah, it's not good bad." I mean, he busts my balls about everything, so I don't know that he liked any of it. So, you know, it doesn't
Not
really.
even Reflex? Nothing?
Oh no, you know
Oh
what's
man.
funny is we kind of wrote that song being in the trend or whatever, and then it became a joke, and it was kind of like, well, it was silly, you know, whatever, and it became one of the most popular songs, and I, you know, not that it compares to anybody else's song, but I can see why, like, make like Aerosmith or Radiohead or whoever hated playing that radio song. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it got to a point,
You
play Reflex, and we're like, no, we're not doing that.
know, you know, every band has that song though that they want to, you know, that the crowd wants to hear, you know.
And that they just
You-
want to forget. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you were saying, you know, things about your childhood and stuff. I just found some old notebooks with some writings I had done, and I'm going through them, and I'm like, what was going through my head when I wrote this stuff? Because it
Yeah.
doesn't even sound like something I would write, but
Yeah.
apparently I did, and it's not nice things I was writing about, and
Yeah.
I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
But
I've still got a bunch of the old Shun notebooks and stuff from those days. And when I pull through some of these songs, I like, man, I was so caught up in something that wasn't
Mhm.
like right now. That's not even something that crosses my mind or
Yeah.
those thought patterns are, you know, like, I mean, I'm almost 50 years old. I'm 48 now. So,
Yeah.
and so back in those days, I was like, this, you know, everything was this. There's some things that I'm like, wow, I can't believe I wrote that at that age. That's pretty good. But there's some stuff that I'm like, oh, what was I
Oh
thinking?
yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess it's just, you know, that it was that time, you know, and that's just
Mhm.
how we felt, you know. It's
Yeah.
and when I read some of these things, I'm like I said, I don't even first I don't remember writing it. Two, I don't remember what was going through my head. There's a lot of shit that I write about, you know, ex-girlfriends, definitely, you know, a bunch of
Yeah.
pissed off stuff about ex-girlfriends and relationships.
Mhm.
But then there's like things about me wanting to kill myself. And I'm like, what the fuck was I writing this about?
Yeah.
Like, why, you know,
Yeah.
but it's there. At least I wrote it down, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? You
Yeah.
know, but
It's hard to look back on that stuff and go,
uh-huh.
yeah, I understand why I felt that way, because when I think about those days, I can only think of so many good things, you know, like
Mhm.
I had it so good. Like it was before the
Oh,
internet
yeah.
blew up. It was before, you know, politics pissed you off and stuff like
Yeah.
that. You know? And it was those were the days when it was like you were kind of ignorant and you were kind of pissed off, and like I would give anything to be ignorant again. So, you know.
You know, like hey, the internet's good, but then the internet's bad too, you know. It's
Yeah.
like
Just a lot of
I
angry people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um so you and Ben were jamming in two different projects, is that correct?
So yeah, we did. We started out in Charles's from Little Boy, his basement, and it was just me, him, and Charles,
Uh-huh.
and I was playing piano,
Oh.
and we brought in a bunch of different guitar players, and we were just trying to find a good fit, somebody that was spacey, and you know, I feel like I was always trying to get away from the, you know, heavy bar chords and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was always looking for something more psychedelic and just more, I don't know, atmospheric and stuff, and clean. I guess that's the whole thing. And I don't know why I chased that so much. That probably is what made everything stagnate so much. Because I know that they were bringing people in left and right. Ben would bring somebody in. I go, nah, it's not a good fit. Not a good fit. And I felt like I definitely steamrolled a lot of those guys that were probably going to be really good guitar players. And I just was like, it's not a good fit. Not what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
We found a guy. His name was JD. And we started playing with him, and it took off like lightning. We were writing songs left and right, and then we had a keyboard player, and then, you know, obviously personal reasons started popping up in their lives where they had to back away, and so we started. We took that band, we named it Stella Nouvelle. I think Ben made that name up. We wanted it to be like a new star, and so Stella Nouvelle was, you know, a bunch of different languages mixed together, and we started jamming with Todd Fulford from. Actually, we jammed with the band I was in, the Midnight Radio Station. We jammed with Lee for a little while. I remember that. And then Lee just kind of bowed out, and we started jamming with Todd. And then I think Kenny started playing piano at that point. And I think I kind of had some type of midlife episode or something. I was doing that in the Midnight Radio Sessions. So I'd do one band Saturday, one Sunday.
Who all had Todd played with at that point?
Todd had played with
Like Return to Self and
from back in the Shun days. He played with
Todd
Element 8
Mush
with Binks.
Yeah,
Banks.
yeah.
So him and Golden left Element 8, and then they started Return to Self.
Yep.
Right.
And I always loved Todd and Golden and them. And
Todd's a good dude.
Yeah, he's a great dude. I'm actually.
Did he move to California?
No, he lives in. He's in Sumner County.
Okay.
But
he moved or something.
He's still here. I talk to Todd probably every day. But we just stayed good friends, and he's got a lot of going. He's got a project now called Giants in Stasis. And I only know the singer is Ben Hatch. But you should check them out. They're on Spotify and all the streaming services and stuff. But they're pretty heavy. He's pretty technical, and pretty much Todd does all the music on it, and Hatch lays vocals down like a madman. So we started playing with Todd, and we did Still Nouvelle, and I think Ben told me he played you some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we had 4 or 5 songs.
Actually, did you guys played a show at the Cannery? Is that right?
Mercy Lounge.
Mercy.
Yeah.
The earlier iteration, we did play the Mercy Lounge. Right. I think we only were allowed to do 3 songs or something.
Yeah.
And
I think that was the only time ever.
Yeah, there's a video on YouTube on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, I seen the YouTube video. Back then, I think from Ben, maybe I posted or somebody had posted it back then. That's the only reason why I knew it happened.
Yeah, it was a very unique project. I mean, it was obviously Charles is a very heavy bass player. So it was very bass driven, and with him and Ben together, it was a great combo. So everybody, all they had to do was color, and and so I really enjoyed that project, and so that's Ben and I actually had when was that? We had lunch together recently.
January. I
hadn't seen Ben in years, but we talk, all the days we chat, stuff like that, and we discussed, we listened to those songs. We were like, yeah, let's do this. And so I reached out to Todd, and he was like, yeah, let's start doing that. So I'm currently working on a project with Todd. So Todd's been helping me with the Shun stuff. So Todd's an amazing engineer, and he's really good at it. And so I've been tracking all the Shun stuff, and I'm like, here, can you mix it? Because I don't know what to do, because I kept mixing it, and I couldn't get the balances right. And so he's been mixing it and stuff, and he was like, all right, well, if I'm going to help you with this, you're going to help me do a project. So he's been sending me songs, and we're working on stuff. And I told him that Ben and I had lunch, and he's like, yeah, I'll dig those out. So he's been kind of unearthing that stuff as well. So,
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
hell yeah, that's cool.
Surprise, man. Huh? But no, we
so excited.
He's wanting to do some stuff with that. I think we could really re-record it now, and it would be awesome. So, and
let's go.
That's awesome to hear.
But go ahead.
So that's cool if they bring that back out. I mean, it's always cool to hear something that you did in the past, and then maybe rework it and re-record it. And then you see it differently now, and you might, let's try it like this now, or add a little different flavor.
Yeah. I know I've grown a lot as far as recording and stuff like that. I've learned a lot since 2018. I've learned a lot, bought a lot of gear, and definitely learned from my mistakes and stuff like that. So I definitely think that now we could have that much more, better sound, I think.
Right. And you haven't talked about the Midnight Radio Sessions.
I was just about to ask about that. I was just about to ask about that.
So the Midnight Radio Sessions, when I was in Shun, or not Shun, Sans Seraph, I was at a show, and there was a guy named Lee who just he watched a show of ours at the I want to say 8th Day, but it turned into something else.
Blue Sky Court?
What's that?
Yeah.
The Blue Sky Court?
Yeah, but I think it was something else.
The Rutledge?
Rutledge, that's where it was. So we played the Rutledge. We did a few shows there, and I got approached by a guy who had actually tried out for Sans Seraph online. He sent us some stuff, and we were like, no. He sent me a couple tracks of stuff. He was like, I like your voice. I want to work with you. I was like, sure, send me some stuff. So he sent it to my email, and the first song he sent me was a song called Summer Storm Hymn. That's what he wrote. And he basically was a guy who wrote songs, and he just hired all his friends to come in the studio and do it. And he was like, I want you to write lyrics and stuff to it. And we did like 6 or 7 songs that we never released. And that was back in 2006 or 7, or maybe 2008. And we never released it. Still got the demo somewhere on my SoundCloud stuff or my Dropbox. And things kind of fell apart. You know, life happened. We stayed friends. Like we became really good friends, and we still recorded music throughout the years together. And all of a sudden, we got back together with all of those people, and finally just did an album. We recorded it, you know, the Switchyard Studios, which a guy named Michael St. Leon, amazing producer guy. He's done everything from ZZ Top to, you know.
Wow.
So it's like his own studio, personal studio underneath his cabin, and it was pretty amazing. So I've done several projects with Lee. He's a great writer. Todd was actually in one of the iterations of Midnight Radio Sessions, and I think he bowed out. And you know, we had a lot of people. It was Midnight Radio Sessions was kind of like musical chairs. It was just somebody would come in and do something. If he didn't like it, he would get somebody else to do it, whatever. So it was pretty much Lee's brainchild. The only thing I had a part in was writing the lyrics and the vocals, and maybe extending and structuring. That was about it. So,
do you remember the old days when you have to call into KDF on Sunday to Al John and have him, you know, request your local songs?
Yeah.
Barry would say that they used to hate. They would hate Look What I Did, because they would literally call every 5 minutes, or Point of You. It was Point of You at the time.
Yeah.
They would call like every 5 to 10 minutes, and it's like, hey man, they would change their voice, like, hey, can you play that? Yes, we know we're gonna play the Point of You song. They would always constantly always do it.
Yeah, that was when him and Evan were they actually wrote really melodic stuff, and then, you know, they switched to just raw heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Barry actually could sing. Like, he was a pretty good singer. Like, I thought he had a pretty good voice. So.
Well, then to see what he does now, you know, especially with, you know,
so
everything
different.
he's done, you know, the Faith No More project that he did with Ben, like listening to those vocals he did was like, whoa.
Yeah, really good. Yeah.
Yeah. And now you see him doing like these shows in Nashville where they're like an 80s hair metal night, and he'll be up there with the band. He'll do, you know, he did Van Halen or something. No, he did Yankee Rose by David Lee Roth. And I'm like,
oh wow.
He did like Genuine or somebody like that. He did, he does it all. Yeah, it's pretty cool to see that kind of
cool.
shit.
Yeah, Barry's good.
Yeah, he's a cool cat. I talked with him earlier this year. Actually, earlier this year. It came out on January 6th, just for Barry.
Yeah, that was an excellent episode.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
That's an appropriate date for somebody who's politically charged.
And that's why I did it. You know, I said it. He's like, do it.
Do it.
So, what's out of all your projects that you've done over these years, Billy, what's one of your proudest songs that I know all your songs are probably your favorite, but what's one of your song that you're most proud of?
They're not all my favorite. There's some that I'm like, oh. I would have to say, I know that we recorded. It's not online or anything. Actually, it might be on my SoundCloud.
I think it's on SoundCloud, if it's what I'm thinking it is.
Escape by Sans Seraph. Yeah. And that was like right before we broke up. Our guitar player had graduated from MTSU, and he started engineering. And man, we were just pumping out some really good demos, and I probably released those. I've already reached out to those guys, and they were wanting to do that. So that stuff will be coming out soon. I just hadn't had a chance to do it because I've got to dig through. We had a ton of demos and a ton of live recordings that we did, and I think Sans Seraph, had I not quit, I think probably would have really done some things, because the writing was it was getting so good and just so much better. We were so tight. We all lived together. But yeah, I would say the song Escape, it's on my SoundCloud. I think it's under Bill Seraph. That's what it's under.
Okay.
And it's just a great song. It's like a ballad, it's nothing heavy or anything, but it just really sounded good. I was really happy with my vocal performance on it, and all the instrumentation sounded really crystal clear and solid. So
What's that song about?
It was really about, I kind of wrote it metaphorically, like imagery was kind of like a guy who escaped prison, and he escaped basically because he had faith in something, and somebody read him the Bible, or something that just kind of inspired him to fight. But it was really, if you listen to it, it was really about me trying to fight and escape depression and things like that. And years later, when I read it now, when I listen to it now, then I was an atheist, but to me, I'm a believer now. So, to me, it's like, it's such a different story, because now I think in a different way. And it's like, I still struggle with that type of mental health, stuff.
Yeah.
And but basically it was, reading the Bible and stuff like that really helped me. I know a lot of people will scoff at that, but, really did save my life in a lot of ways. So, and, I listen to it now and I'm like, you can almost think it is a Christian song, because it was really about me escaping the depression and all the bad thoughts and wanting to, just end my life and things like that,
Yeah.
And, that's kind of what it was. It was a lot of that era was about my children saving me and stuff like that. So,
that's awesome. So your kids, you have how many kids?
Well, I'm married now and I have a stepchild, but altogether I have 4.
Okay. Now, you said that, the 17-year-old makes fun of your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What about the new Shun song that you guys have online?
So we've only done one so far.
Yeah, the Earth.
But he's heard us record stuff, and he, I don't know. It's hard. He's hard to read. Like, he's kind of like, yeah, it's an okay song. That's cool. And he listens to the Sans Seraph stuff. I just uploaded some of the shows that I found from a long time ago. I went through a memory box and found some DVDs from the Sans Seraph days, and
wow,
he goes, "Man, your haircut looks so stupid," because I had just a mohawk, piercings on my face and stuff like that. He goes, "You look so dumb, Dad." Because
I'm gonna grab a charger. I'll be right back.
Yeah, and I was like, I agree. It does look stupid.
What are your kid? What kind of music your kids into?
My son has a wide range of stuff. He's super talented. Like he's very into music. He plays guitar. He plays accordion. He plays piano. He's a master piano. He's been playing piano for like 10 years, and he is amazing. Like, he's super talented. I'm super proud of him. But like, he blows me away on just about anything music theory or whatever. Like, I'll be like, yeah, that's whatever, and he was like, no, you're wrong. That's not it. So, he's definitely got a lot more knowledge about music. Like, I never was able to read music or that. It just all came out of me, And
anything in the future with the two of you?
We've talked about it. Like, we do covers and stuff like that. He likes like the Decemberists. We love that together.
Oh yeah.
He and I both have a love for Radiohead. Like, Radiohead's probably my favorite band. I can't listen to them all the time, but like, I love Failure and stuff like that. I love a lot of older metal stuff, and we explore these things on Spotify. We go through, share each other's Spotify lists and stuff like that, and he likes a lot of the same things that I like throughout the generations, and some things that he's introduced me to. Some of his stuff is a little different than what I would normally listen to, but he likes it, so it got me into it. So
You know, people always, or I always hear people say, I can't find anything new to listen to. I can't find anything new. There's nothing new out there to listen. There's always something new out there to somebody,
well, you need
whether
to get
it's
Spotify.
exactly. Well, I mean,
The algorithm
yeah, exactly.
on Spotify is amazing. Like,
Yeah. Or I
I've
mean,
tried everything else, and it just you can
yeah,
always put it on a radio station and find a new
Mhm.
band that you like.
for sure. I
Yeah.
always find something new. I
Mm.
there's always something new out there, but like, me and Ben have talked about this too, like and you as well, I'm sure, our music taste is all over the place,
Yeah.
it's like coming, growing up like in the 80s with like, all that stuff in the 80s, that's still good stuff. But then in the 90s, like we have all this knowledge of music and then whatever our parents were listening to,
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I
mean,
remember being into gangster rap, like Snoop Dogg and Tupac and all that stuff. Like,
and I wasn't even a gangster and listening to that,
I wasn't at all, but I loved it. I didn't.
West Side.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I mean, like at the end of the day, nowadays, I'm just like, if a good music's good music, if it's good, it's good. I'm gonna listen to it. Back in the day, I was like, oh, I ain't listening to that crap. Now I'm like, man, that crap was good.
Yeah. My son introduced me to Sleep Token, and I've never heard of them. And like when I first heard them, I was like, this is unique. It's a little odd, but and then the more I listened to them, I was like, this is really good stuff. And then I started watching videos. I'm like, that's just it's out there,
Yeah.
And, I was just like, this is it's interesting because they have the whole personas like Slipknot and stuff like that, but they just have this beautiful theatrical sounding metal, And it took me a while to get used to it, but like now I love it, And that's kind of some of the stuff that he listens to, like I would have never picked up on by myself, and it's just something he discovered, and I was like, well, you love it, so we'll listen to it, and I'll start tagging songs, and it's just great.
Last night in Nashville was Poison the Well.
Yeah, I wanted to go to that.
25th anniversary of Opposite of December.
Yeah, that's
playing
great.
It in its entirety.
Yeah, I remember seeing them in just the smallest, like the end.
Yeah,
I saw them at the Indie Net.
Yeah, I saw Thursday at the end.
Like, that Thursday show at the end was good.
It was amazing. Like that show was like just so packed, and I think their capacity is like 150 people, and I think they had 400 people in there like this. There were people standing on the bar and stuff at that show. It was crazy.
Dude, that band, fucking Jeff, man, he could sing. He had his vocal, and he still sounds good.
Yeah.
I watched some of their live performances because they're back out there touring again. I'm like, they haven't lost it. They still sound so good. And to know like bands like My Chem like looked up to bands like Thursday.
Yeah,
like
that's great.
But
that's another band I didn't like when they were mainstream, and then years later, my son was like, "You should hear this album," and I'm like, "Okay." And now, like My Chemical Romance is one of my favorite, like. He's one of my favorite singers,
Oh yeah, he's amazing.
He's amazing, and but I only knew the songs that were on the radio back in the day, like
On Clerks 3 opens up with Black Parade, like the whole dang song, like the whole song. I'm like, it fits so perfect, And Kevin Smith was introduced to My Chem from his daughter, and he was like, "This is great stuff,"
Yeah, it was good stuff.
Yeah. But
I think he is just an amazing vocalist.
Yeah. What's his brother in the band with him? Is that what it is?
I think he was. I don't know, the drummer or something.
Yeah. So I have a question for you guys both. You guys answer them separately. I normally ask because I've been doing a lot of punk bands, so I'll change it up here. If you guys, Billy, if you could take Shun on a summer tour with your favorite band or a summer tour with early 2000s Ozfest, what would you rather do?
So either with one of my favorite bands from back in the day or Ozfest.
Yeah.
That's a hard one. I think Ozfest would be great because it would introduce you to so many different people.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose a band, I would say probably the Deftones. I think we would fit great with the Deftones.
Okay.
That's a band that I've seen. I bet you I've seen them 10 times. So
They're amazing live. I wish I could have seen them when they played Bridgestone. What was it, last month?
yeah,
Yeah,
Did you go to
it
that?
was last month.
yeah, I did. I
I,
was.
I didn't.
I believe that was the 10th time I've seen them.
Wow. All right. What about you, Ben? FSN can go on tour with your favorite band or Ozfest early 2000.
Mm, I mean, yeah, definitely tastes have changed since those days. So
Yeah.
I'd probably say for just exposure, yeah, probably the Oz.
Yeah, that's
So
I think that
throw out
would
on
be
the
the best.
Oz.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
what I always ask, because I've been doing a lot of punk rock bands lately, and I've been saying, Warped Tour or your favorite band.
Right,
The
right.
correct answer is my favorite band on Ozfest.
oh yeah,
Gotcha, gotcha.
You got it's like a
Yeah.
trick question.
I see what
But
you mean. Yeah.
um,
I don't know who that would have been. Back then, it would
no,
have probably been Seven Dust. Like we were really, really
Yeah.
influenced by
I know that.
Deftones and Seven Dust
yeah,
back in the day. Yeah.
What's Billy? What's one song you wish you would have wrote?
Oh man, let's see. That's a hard question. I have no. Honestly, I don't know. Like I'm trying to think, what's a good song that I would love to have written.
It's just like a spot. It's like a spur of the moment. Bam.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because a lot of things pop in my mind. I would say,
yeah.
I would say "Paranoid Android" by Radiohead. Honestly, I just think that's an amazing song.
All right. What about you, Ben?
I'm a drummer. I don't write songs.
Oh, you're not supposed to be talking either. No.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Mine changes every day. Today it's going to be Purple Rain.
Okay.
That's also a great song. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll probably write you and go, yeah, it's this song actually, but
yeah, it changes, So.
yeah.
All right.
So you got all these different projects going on now. Do we see possibly with any of these projects maybe a show in the future?
I would probably say no.
Yeah.
But I'm open to the possibility of anything. It just doesn't really. I mean, honestly, I'm just so out of shape. It would be hard. I would have to be like really working out for like 6 months with Barry Dawson to even be able to step up on stage.
Hey,
I work.
He has a gym at the house. He can work you out, man.
I know. Yeah, I've seen where he helps people out and stuff online.
Yeah.
But I won't say never. But I just don't see it happening in the future.
Yeah.
I don't think it would ever happen with Shun. Just because it's really hard to get everybody in the same room. I think we've been
for sure
since we've started since last year. I think we've all been collectively in one room maybe twice, and it's usually just 3 or 4 of us together or 2 of us.
It is cool though to hear bands getting back together doing a thing here and there. I mean, Low Boy, Low Boy's been back together now, not back together, but they've been jamming for the last year. Doing their thing, and I see the guys out at if Charles is playing with Neo Vatra, all the Low Boy dudes are at the shows and shit, and it's cool to see them all hanging out again.
I love that Charles is just banging away on like 4 different bands right now.
Well, yeah, I don't know how's he find the time. How's he?
I have no idea.
Yeah, and he's in shape, so that helps.
Oh yeah, well, he's a coach at high school, so he's in shape. But maybe I need him to get me in shape.
That's right.
Yeah, when I sat down and talked with him last summer, man, I swear that he has the stories he has and we could have probably talked for another 3 hours. He has so much.
Oh yeah.
His memory is so good. I'm like, I don't remember any of this stuff.
Yeah, he remembers everything.
Oh yeah, he's like, well, what about this band? I'm like, I don't remember them. He's like, yeah, they were like so and so is in it, and they went on to start this band, and then I'm like, I told him today. I was like, you just need to write a book through Charles's eyes about the Nashville music scene, because I don't remember anything, man.
I talked to him after I did lunch with you, about 2 or 3 days after that, and just kind of ran the Still in Newville thing by him, and he was like, "Oh, I'm there. You just let me know I'm there." And I think we talked for 4 hours on the phone. Like my phone died and I had to plug it up. Like, and
It's like you hang up. No, you hang up. No, you hang up.
well, it's just like every time. I mean, it's the same way with Ben. Every time I hang out with these guys, we start talking about the golden days and just all the old memories and music and just everything, everyday life, our kids and stuff like that. Charles and I have a lot in common, and we just get to talking. I think I ended up getting off the phone with him at like 2:30 in the morning or something. It was ridiculous, and I'm 48 and I know he's older than me.
Yeah. No, it's like when I had Ben come over. When Ben and I did an episode together. Ben came over like at 5 and didn't leave my house till probably 2 or something. It was like late. We just sat there and shot the shit for hours. It was
great.
It was good times, man.
Yeah,
and then you got to go. It's fun.
I do that every
There's
time.
so much to reminisce.
Yeah, we were talking everything, music to movies to just whatever. It's a good time. It's cool though. It's cool to do that.
We should do that in general, like all three.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. We should all. Next time you have lunch, I'll come with you, Ben.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah,
let's get a lunch date.
Okay.
You got this.
Yeah. I mean, last time I saw Ben, when was that? Was it probably January, February when I saw you last when you came to the Kilt?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I've had some altering changes in my life, and I'll talk about that after we got the podcast here.
Okay.
Oh,
you're gonna be like.
You still have legs, right?
I have no legs. I have no legs.
It got really solid. I was like, I got this.
I've been seeing that. That's funny that I just did that and you said that because I've been seeing that reel pop up recently, like a lot of kids reels. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I had a friend find that movie for me because I don't have a VHS player.
Yeah,
and I have it on VHS.
Kids,
and I watched it.
Oh my god, it's terrifying.
I mean, it from back then we were like, all right, but now I'm like, I feel like I need to take a real bad shower real quick. It's just like,
because even then it's controversial, but now it's just your.
And then they were all of age. I love it.
It's brilliant and honest.
The way it was shot was amazing.
So uncomfortable.
It's raw.
Yeah.
The only scene that had some actual young kids were the scene with the children on the couch, and they're like probably 10 or 11 smoking weed, and I'm like, dang. But then when you look at like, yeah, yeah,
is that a cross?
Yeah. But no, like Rosario Dawson, she was 17 or 18, and then Chloe was 19 or something. But they all look so young back then,
Yeah. Rosario was talking about getting stuff in her teeth.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to find that poster. I need to get that poster. The soundtrack, Folk Implosion.
Yeah.
Oh,
what an amazing band.
Yeah.
What an amazing band. Who was in that band?
Harmony's
was that somebody from Sebado? Was somebody from Folk Implosion from Sebado?
I don't know.
Yeah. Harmony, do you know?
Out of my trivia.
That's deep cut names for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Let me go back to my little turtle shell.
For my 30th birthday, I went to Vanderbilt, and they had Harmony Korine had this art exhibit going on. That's what I wanted to go see, and it was free. But the whole art exhibit was like all these still photos that he took with these cameras when he was in Japan, and he was like getting high on blowfish. And he was trying to capture people's souls on infomercials at night and stuff like that. It was right on par with what you would expect out of him. But it was really bizarre.
Infomercials, remember them days when you would like stay up late at night and then or when I lived in Germany, we only had one channel at the time. This was in the 80s. Now we had one channel called AFN, Armed Forces Network, and at like 2:00, it would be nothing else beyond, and the flag would come up, and they would sign off with the Star Spangled Banner. It would sign off, and then it would just go to snow.
Yep, I remember
that.
That was it.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of channels in the U.S. that did that back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh, did they do it too? Yeah.
Just
and
completely.
then they started doing the infomercials where they would play like the Columbia House, where you learn
Oh.
a
Right.
piece of a song attached to another piece of a song and another
Mhm.
piece
Yeah.
of a song.
Do you remember calling a phone number and it would give you a bunch of like for this band, press 1, you press 1, and then you would get snippets of the album?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
I
you would
remember
do
the
that.
900 numbers. We ran up somebody's one of my credit card 900 number.
Oh yeah. I got in
What
trouble
about
for some phone scams too. Yeah.
Yeah.
what about movie phone?
Yeah. I remember that where you
I
Showtime.
didn't do
Boy.
that one.
Yeah. Oh, you
Yeah.
don't remember movie phone? I'd be like, welcome to movie phone.
Showtime.
You know, then you
Nightmare on
yeah.
Elm Street.
I would use
I remember
that
calling
to,
Oates.
I had that phone number still on my phone.
Yeah. Oh,
And-
good.
And you could
That's a
and you could
fantastic
still
number.
listen to Hall & Oates songs.
That's so
Weird. I've
great.
never heard of that.
Oh, this song's been around for
Yeah.
probably 25 plus years. Yeah, it's a Hall & Oates hotline, and you call it, and it's like, thank you for calling the Hall & Oates hotline to hear Sarah Says, press 1. You're like, it's like, it just does all these little clips
So
of all their
good.
songs. It's
That's
so
so funny.
good. Yeah. That's the one number that, besides like
It's
probably my mom's number that is still in my phone,
Really?
it's
Yeah,
the
we'll send it
happiest
to you.
call
We'll
you'll
send
make.
it to you.
100%.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So
That's
I
crazy.
think it was like some sort of like college guys deal from what I remember reading. Like there's some sort of experiment where he's like, okay, I gotta develop this hotline type thing. He's like, I'm gonna call it Callin' Oates, and it'll just be Hall & Oates hotline where you can press numbers and it'll just randomly play these Hall & Oates songs. It's so
Well,
good.
better be glad it wasn't Metallica. They come after you for that.
yeah. But see, it's funny because this number is still operating.
Yeah.
It's
I
set
think it's out of Denver.
for the listeners out there real quick. The number is 719-266-2837. That is the Hall & Oates hotline.
Let's
And
see if it still
Welcome
works.
to Hall & Oates, your emergency Hall & Oates helpline. To hear one-on-one, please press 1. To hear it go, please.
I wonder if there's
So
any type
great.
of royalties or anything involved. in
yeah, that's amazing though. Yeah. So I'm sure I'll probably, I probably owe them some money for playing that now, but it's okay, whatever. I love Hall & Oates,
Yeah.
they're great.
Yeah.
Well, they work because they're no longer together.
Yeah.
Money,
it's true.
money,
Yeah.
money issues,
Yeah.
which sucks.
Yeah.
But,
Money and egos. That's the end of every band. So
yeah. I guess once
Neither.
once Oates lost his mustache, it just he lost his everything.
he lost his jive, man.
Yeah.
His mojo.
Yeah.
That's what it was. I think there was an episode like South Park or something where his mustache jumped off and ran away or something. I don't know if it was like South Park or maybe Family Guy or something, but his mustache jumped off and ran away.
That's funny.
Well, Bill, anything you wanted to mention and talk about? Anything you want to ask Ben?
When are we doing lunch again? And is Russ coming?
Yeah, let's do
Okay.
May is pretty stacked. June is looking okay so far.
I need to get on one of these gigs and go on the road with you for a bit.
I know that's what I was
Yeah.
about to mention. I'm gonna squeeze in your suitcase, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, bud. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'll
let's get
lift
some
whatever.
lunch
I'll
for
lift
sure.
road cases,
Yeah.
whatever. You let me know.
And then let's revive
take
some
a week
Stella
off work
stuff.
I'll take a week off
Yeah.
work and I'll just help you carry cables or whatever.
Yeah.
What do you do
Carry
for
the
work,
cable,
Billy?
Carry the movie camera around.
What do you do for work, Billy?
I work basically for a clinical trial company. I'm basically a product manager and just make sure apps and stuff get built with the way they're required to be built and stuff. I used to do software development and stuff like that, and I ended up transitioning into this. And if my boss is listening, I love it.
Yeah. He says nothing but good things about it all the time.
I wish I was doing something different, but I do love the people I work with and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
and I work from home, so I never have to get out of my pajamas.
Oh.
So.
Well, that's good. And if you have to look professional, just from the waist up, right?
Yeah, just a
Yeah.
college shirt or whatever.
Yeah.
I just
I,
What you got on? What you got on down there?
I've got khakis on. Yeah,
Ah,
I'm not standing up.
I got WWF shorts on.
Do you?
Yeah. As I'm watching WrestleMania right now too. Actually, this shirt is so long it covers my shorts, so it looks like I got a small dress on. Actually,
Oh wow!
and I'm not standing up and I'm not turning around and bending over, Ben.
Yeah, it's very becoming of you.
Coming off? No.
Yeah.
You gonna be coming? No.
Hey-o.
It's a family show.
Oh.
I like how you said that and you started it off with jacking off. So it all ends out right, So.
I mean, one comes before the other.
Oh, hey, you got all YouTube says is wait 5 minutes before you start talking, saying F bombs and stuff. So you're good. We're good.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't know. I don't pay attention to any of that stuff. I haven't been flagged yet, so I'm not even anybody though. So But anywho, all right.
You will be one day.
I am.
Keep doing
it. I keep doing it. Exactly.
I've been told a million times I should start a podcast, but I just don't think I'm that interesting. So. But I have a lot of friends that are like, yeah, we should do a podcast. We should do a podcast. I'm like, I don't have enough material.
I love it. Yeah.
I got
I mean, if nothing else, it gives you an excuse just to sit down and hang out with your buddies for a while.
Well, that's another thing. One, for me doing it, I'm talking to all these bands that I've never talked to. I've met some cool friends over the last couple of months from doing these. Like I've gotten a lot of bands out of California and like I said, Canada and stuff. And met a lot of cool bands, and there's a lot of cool music out there that I would not have discovered if I haven't been doing this podcast,
Right.
But I do have another one I'm about to start with a homie of mine. It's gonna be called Another Round with Bad and Attitude. It's my buddy Eric Orozco. He was in a band called Lonesome Town Drifters in Nashville. He played with the Blacklist Royals from Nashville and stuff. But anywho, it's just gonna be us just talking about, reminiscing about,
Awesome.
the 80s and 80s movies,
Yeah, dude.
BMX, skateboards, all that shit,
Oh, yeah. Love that stuff.
Yeah. It's just, and it, like you said, if anything, just gives us a reason to get together once a week and talk,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anywho, well,
let's hit
Ben,
up
you got
lunch,
anything
fellas.
you want to ask? You got anything you want to ask your friend Billy?
No.
Right.
No.
Anything you want to ask me?
Bro, not a shower.
Yeah. There's at least 3 people that can contest to that.
Whoa. And I am not one of them. So I'm not sad about it.
He says that now.
Yeah. I only speak the truth off air.
Yeah, let's cut the record and get down to brass tacks here.
Yeah. Let's start talking.
Well,
out, fellas.
Well, gentlemen, it's been fun. Billy, I appreciate you taking the time out to doing this. Ben, thanks for sitting in and having fun with us too. We'll do it again. We'll all do lunch again soon, and then we'll talk.
Yeah, let's do that.
More. Yep. So, all right. Till next time, gentlemen. Peace out.